as everybody else is jumping in. I put it out through the group again. We'll give just 1 second before we really jump in. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Man, I think it is awesome. All right, so let's just rock and roll right off the bat. So I'm thrilled that we get to just kind of have this conversation. So if it's okay, I will kind of like introduce you, and then we'll kind of go from there and rock and roll. And here's my intention for this call. My intention is twofold. One, I want to pull the brilliance out of your brains because all of you are freaking amazing at what you do. And I want to facilitate some additional connections and make sure that everyone in my tribe knows you, continue referrals, learn from you, all that great stuff down the road. Sound good? So let's jump in. So I'll take a second and introduce several of our guests, panelists, and then we will jump into the questions. I want this to be kind of conversational and everything else as we jump in. So I will just start off with Alex. So Alex, and feel free to fill in the gaps here in a second. Alex is one of those people I met like 8-10 years ago, and I was like, this guy is going to do something huge in his world. So Alex, you were in like you were second generation realtor. You were in Quad Cities. You realized Quad Cities was not big enough for Alex. I mean, you fell in love with Chicago, however you want to put it. And what I'm amazed at is you went up there, you broke in and rebuilt your network, did a bunch of really, really cool stuff. So pretty awesome to see what you've done in the past several years. So give us 30 seconds on what we missed out on. It just became a 30 under 30 with several of us. So what did I miss?
That's about it. I mean, you covered all the bases. 30 under 30 class of 2021. Let's see. I think the fun banner highlight, in addition to 30 under 30 last week, that fits in with this panel, is I sold Brian Urlacher's house last week. So that was a NFL Hall of Famer. Good times, fits well with this. I think that, and then I also did a luxury auction as well. That was a big highlight. So there you go. There's the two big career highlights in the last 6 months.
Dude, I love it. I'm thrilled that you're on here, my friend. It's pretty awesome. All right, Jamie, holy cow. When you meet Jamie, she's like this nice, quiet little force of freaking nature. Jamie, I like reading your whole thing. It's like, I would be here for an hour reading how much awesome stuff you've done. You're also one of the 30 under 30 at a newer class than I was. Top 1% of realtors nationwide. You're in California, Rodeo Realty President Elite Club, which is a huge deal. You've been featured in a ton of different magazines, everything else, A-list celebrities, etc. Give us a couple seconds on who you are and why should everybody listen to you? I know why, but why should they?
Hi, everyone. My name is JamieTian. I'm 29 years old. I'm here in Los Angeles. So I sell real estate in the West Los Angeles area and also a little bit down in Orange County as well. Right now I have one of my biggest deals that are in escrow for $7.9 million. So I'm excited about that. It's a repeat client of mine, and believe it or not, I got it from a referral from another client who bought like a $600,000 condo. So, you know, it's all about like sphere of influence and your networking. And so I don't do a lot of like paid marketing or anything like that. It's all about networking and just getting my name out there. So I'm glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
I think that's incredible. And yet you're like, I always tell people, go follow some rock stars on like social media. You are a rock star on social media. So like go follow her and learn a whole, I follow all these guys, but learn a lot from her. All right, Stephen Bruns. Stephen, I probably know the least about you, and yet what I have heard was all pretty incredible. So you were born in Ecuador, and then you were like raised in Ecuador and the UK. You speak like 5 languages, spent 12 years in international relations. And then now you kick butt and take names in Los Angeles. Like, I'm not sure how all that happened, but give us a little bit on you.
So the perfect lead in, because everything you've just described is actually my wife.
Oh, okay, there you go.
It's the ideal lead in because everything that I have to bring to this panel is very much filtered through Diana. Diana and I are a husband and wife couple. We are homes to die for. So
love it.
Yeah, I'm born in Alaska. I actually know you through Devin, who's also
So that was why I was reading through this. I was like, I am not getting, this is not making sense because I was like, this doesn't, yeah, anyway. So there you go. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about you then. Yes.
Yeah, born and raised in Alaska. Devin and I went to school together, actually. And then, 19 years in kind of the modeling acting world. Diana started doing this about 10 years ago. I've been doing it for 3 years. And I think that if there's anything I can bring to this panel, it's a lot of advice in terms of how people can kind of pair up and recognize their limitations and their weaknesses. And I think that's something that Diane and I have done really, really well over the years.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. I'm thrilled you are on here. Being able to watch your stuff the last few weeks has been pretty cool. So I'm thrilled you're taking time to do this.
Yeah,
all right. Ivan, you are like, I don't even know if you're a real person or just like this entity that does everything. So we have all followed you for a very long time. It's amazing at what you're able to do and put together. Your brand is on point. Like you are sought after to teach everybody else about branding and about content. And from what I hear, and what I've experienced, you're actually a really good dude at the end of the day too. So one of the top producing realtors in Los Angeles. You do residential and commercial. Went to Stanford, I believe, if my notes are correct. You were also a 30 under 30, right? With several of us. You've been on a bunch of different shows like Real Estate Minute. You've been on NBC, all these other house hunters, all these other awesome stuff. So give us a little bit more about you and what everybody should, why they should pay attention.
Yeah, awesome. No, thanks for having me. I actually went to USC for Marshall School of Business and Leventhal School of Accounting, but today I start my graduate entrepreneurship studies at Stanford. So it's funny you even mentioned that because that's not anywhere. So yeah, I've been in the business for about 11 years, born and raised in Los Angeles. And real estate, prior to real estate, I was in accounting. I used to work at Deloitte and McGladrey in audit and audit and tax, which gave me a great background. And this year for me is a very exciting year because other than real estate, our team is doing great. My book, Brand with Purpose, is released in November. Yesterday was our last final meeting with the publisher and the PR agency who's going to be taking care of getting this baby off the ground for the next couple of months. And then my company called Brand With, so it's up live now, brandwith.com, where we have Brand With Video, which launches in July. And the same people who built Ryan Serhant's course sell like Serhant. I wrote the course, took me about 8 months to write Brand With Video. And it's a video course, it's a self-improvement course, it's a camera work course. It's a course on how to use video to better brand yourself. And it goes module to module to module on building your brand. So one module builds onto the next. And you also get personal feedback on your videos. And I'm super excited on that because that project has been my baby for the last, on my mind for a year and a half, but now it's finally coming into fruition this June and it's brandwith.com. So there's a lot of things are happening. And I'm still single, which is like, my parents are like, why are you still single? Why do you think? Why do you think?
Hey, yeah,
I'm
there you go.
married,
Hey, we can work on that right now. So we'll have that taken care of by the end of the call. I love it. Oh my, yes, we're all dating real estate full time, and yeah, we'll see what else happens on the side. Oh, I love it. Thank you for being here, dude. Seriously, I have mad admiration for what you've been able to do. It's pretty awesome. Michael, my friend, I have followed you for a very, very long time. You literally wrote the book on luxury real estate, like literally wrote the book on how to break into luxury real estate. You teach on it all over the country. You have courses on how to break into luxury real estate. Like you are wildly legit in this space. So thank you for being on here and honoring us with your brilliance. What else do we need to know about you right now?
Hey, that was a great introduction. No, I appreciate it. So yeah, based in Chicagoland, and we have a global consulting business, but we also sell real estate here in Chicagoland. I think I have, I don't know, 24 listings, I think 18 or 19 above $1 million, which doesn't mean much for the guest out in California, but in Chicagoland, that's a higher price point. So just honored to be here.
Dude, I love it. I love it. And so thank you guys for being here. Just so you know, most of the people that are on here with us are tribe members. These are my the Hero Nation, our awesome one-on-one clients. A lot of them couldn't be here, but they're thrilled to watch the replay. So thank you guys for pouring into them today as we rock and roll into this. So here's what I want to jump into. And by the way, if you're on here, if you're a panelist on here, would you make sure you drop your content in the comments in the chat so I can connect with you on social, wherever that is. If you have a course, drop that below. If you want us to go buy your book, drop that below. Like, let us know how we can best support you for doing this important. So, all right. So let's jump into all this awesomeness. If you're all we're ready to go, yes. Okay, let's jump in. All right. So first off, I want to know, and you guys can jump in at will, or I'll call you out, but feel free to kind of jump in as we go through this. So what was the moment? What caused you to get into luxury real estate? Was it an accident? Was it a conscious choice? What caused you to actually get into it? And then I want to know, what your transition was like, but what caused you to get into it in the first place? Well, so Alex, Stephen, yeah, Mike could go for it, and then Alex and Stephen go for it.
Yeah, for me, it was kind of a natural transition. So I've been licensed since 2000, and in 2012, 13, I was doing some coaching just like you do, and coaching agents of all price points. And I was working with the top luxury agent, helping her with her branding and her marketing. And I quickly realized that it wasn't just her, but other luxury agents were pretty much inside the box, the way they thought and the way they marketed a lot of these properties. So we made a shift, and we started really focusing on luxury, not just on the selling home side, but also on our coaching consulting side. So, there's a lot of limiting beliefs out there. You got to be licensed X amount of years with a certain brand, and those have been proven to be false. Of course, does it help if you come from wealth? Does it help if your parents and you, were part of a country club and you have a Rolodex of names of your sphere that belongs to, high net worth families? Absolutely, it helps, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah, well, and dude, I love you, Stephen. I think it's one of the things I'm excited about this call is, like, all of you are awesome, and yet you're still like, you're just normal people in a sense, right? Like, I think people think they've got to have some special whatever, and I hope we expel some of that as we go through this. So, Alex, Stephen, and then Ivan, what do you got?
Sure. Similar to Michael. Hi, Michael.
Hey.
Part of for me, it was similar to Michael. It was a very natural transition. I'd always gravitated towards higher end real estate, not because of the price point or the architecture or anything like that. I was really, there's really two things that drew me to it. Number one, I just enjoy the challenge. These are not properties that fly off the shelves. It requires me to use the creative side of my brain of how do we solve the problem of getting these properties sold. And also, I enjoy the clients because the clients tend to think how I do, which is very analytical, very quick decision makers. There is a lot of emotion involved, but they hide it. They're very good at hiding their emotion. Me coming from the Midwest, I do the same thing. There's I just enjoyed the overall strategic thinking that goes into it. But of course, like the pulling up to a house with a cool gate that winds back through the woods, that's fun too. So you never know where you get to go one day to the next. So it's always the good variety.
Love it.
I'd like to jump onto something that Michael said earlier, and that's to do with kind of the concept of luxury marketing or luxury real estate in general. Being in Southern California, I think the kind of lowest point in condos is between, let's say, 300,000 and 500,000. Whereas I'm from Alaska, and Devin is on this call too. And a $500,000 home in Alaska is a pretty damn nice home. The concept of luxury real estate, I think, is something that tends to limit people a lot. The idea of, oh my gosh, this house is $10 million. I shouldn't represent that. And I do think that there's a certain amount of time that you need to be in the business so that you feel like you're confident in the overall structure of the business. But in the end, the zeros don't mean anything.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is something that tends to limit people throughout their careers. With that said, something that Alex said earlier as well is, you know, kind of being in the, or no, actually, I think you did, Wayne, it does help a lot to be in the right circles. That is definitely something that assists you. But at the same time, right now, we just closed on a property that we were the fourth agents to represent. It had been on the market on and off for 7 years. It had started off at 16 million. It was wildly overpriced. It was a unicorn for the area, and we just sold it for 11.1, which is obviously a huge drop from 16 million. But at the same time, to a lot of what Alex was saying, you know, there's very interesting aspects to that side of the business, and the people are definitely interesting. You know, these are, when you get up into a certain price point, you're dealing with CEOs, you're dealing with lawyers, you're dealing with people that, you know, in many ways won't respect you as the realtor. They feel like it's something they can do better themselves.
Yeah.
And it does take a certain kind of mentality and a certain amount of being able to kind of work with semi-difficult people.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. So you got into it kind of by necessity. Ivan, what caused you to get into it? Was it just the space you were in, or did you kind of move into it?
I think it was a combination of things. So, I mean, my parents came here from Mexico. I grew up with not much. And I worked my butt off to get into USC and get a scholarship. And for me, that was, I think, the beginning of meeting people who, a lot of them came from a lot of wealth. You know, they came from prep schools. I had no idea what even a prep school was. And that really, those 4 years or 5 years, I took 2 majors, really trained me a little bit about getting comfortable and realizing it was just people. And slowly that, I think, raised my comfort level. And then going into accounting as well, when you're interviewing a CFO or a controller, and you're dealing with these very dynamic personalities, it was like an added level of training. So I was starting to get comfortable slowly but surely, and realizing they were just people like everyone else. And obviously being in Los Angeles, where, you know, the price points are pretty high, my manager really took me under her wing and said, look, you have a great background that will serve you in this business. You just have to get through the mindset that you and every other agent, doesn't matter if it's a $4 million listing, a $1 million listing, a $20 million listing, the process is the same. And I'm here to guide you step by step. And it was a mindset thing of just breaking through that and realizing they're just people just like you and I. And what skills do I have in previous experiences and life in general that can add value to their life and selling their property. So that was my journey.
I love it. So yeah, so you're like most of us, a decade overnight success, right?
Yeah, right.
All right, Jamie. And Christy was supposed to be on, but her mom got sick. So Jamie, you got to bring in all the feminine power for everybody else. So what caused you to get into it in the beginning?
Well, I think it's partially was just being in Los Angeles definitely made part of the decision to have to go into luxury real estate. Because I mean, what is luxury, I think, is different for every market. So it's not necessarily a price point. But, you know, I started off when I was 21 years old. I was still in college at UCLA. And my first deal was like $230,000. I sold a condo. And then, you know, I just started slowly getting more confident, like you said, building my confidence and learning the transaction and how to deal with different types of clients. And really, the purchase price is just a number. It doesn't really make a difference. You know, you're dealing, it's still a very, very, very important decision, no matter if it's 200,000 or 20 million, right? And the clients still expect you to treat it as so. So I just treat it the same no matter what. But I think, like, you know, after 200,000, I did like 500,000, 600,000, 1 million, 2 million. I just slowly started doing higher deals. And I think obviously being surrounded by neighborhoods that have these price homes where, you know, 1 to 2 million is kind of like a fixer, that definitely makes an impact and makes it easier to get into the luxury market. But
how many of you are just ready to move when like 2 million is like the fixer upper? Like some of you are just going to move based on this call. Yeah.
yeah,
No, I love it.
cost of living is quite high. So, we also
Yes.
have to pay the price.
Yes. Amen. Amen. All right. So let me start with you and then we'll go backwards. Do you think everyone is cut out to be a luxury realtor, or do you think that kind of like commercial and residential, like it's kind of two different mentalities oftentimes? So is everybody cut out to be, a luxury real estate agent? And what would you say it takes mentally in the beginning?
I think everyone can be cut out for it if they work hard enough and they, want to be. But I mean, I definitely don't think it's for everyone. I mean, I also don't think like you can't just decide one day, oh, I'm going to do luxury real estate and I'm only going to do deals above 5 million from now. I mean, you could if you had that luxury, right? But I mean, maybe like you start with trying to get a couple of deals first, but you're not going to turn away your other clients, right? So I think I think everyone can do it as long as they put their mind to it. But I think you do have to understand that obviously luxury clients, they may have higher expectations in certain ways. And you have to understand their lifestyle and kind of connect with them. So I like to say like in any type of real estate, whether it's luxury or lower price points, you personally have to connect with the client in order for it to work out. So that's why like Ivan and I can both be realtors in the same city and we have totally different sets of clients because we're different people and different people like us and communicate better with us. So figure out your niche and what is your niche within the luxury realm. So like I'm Chinese, I do work with a lot of Chinese clients. Like everyone has, there's people that are in the sports and entertainment kind of industry. Everyone kind of has their own niche within the luxury clientele, and then you have to figure out where you can contribute and how you can, find a clientele that will connect to you. Yeah.
All right. So here's what I want to know from each of you. And whichever one of you is brave enough, I can start. What would you say are the 2 or 3 things you would do right in the beginning to break into a luxury market? So say, right, you're like Alex, you're popped down in Chicago, it's day one. What are the 2 or 3, or you pop down in Dallas, which I like to call the new LA. I don't think it's sticking yet, but I'm going to keep saying it anyway. Thank you, one person. All right, so let's say you were popped down. What are the first 2 or 3 things you would do? Day one, what would you do to break into the market?
I would tour luxury properties that are currently on the market and or broker opens that are luxury homes that are currently on the market to familiarize myself with the properties, the price points, what buyers are looking for. And through that, Wayne, you build confidence. I teach agents all the time, grow your knowledge and your confidence will grow. Of course, if you're more confident, you'll step outside of your comfort zone and you'll perhaps go after some of those properties that you don't have a track record of selling.
I love that. Love it. Okay.
One of the things I did when I started in Chicago was I just started similar to Michael. Knowledge is power. The more knowledge you can acquire, the better. And especially when you're newer in the luxury realm, you have the luxury of time. You have time to go look at luxury properties or study the market. Another thing that the 2 things I would do, and the 2 things I have done in the past, is I would go look at other luxury marketing, not just real estate, but go to a car dealership and pick up a brochure from Maserati. What are those consumers looking at? What are they seeing? What's the quality of the product that they're expecting? I have a whole cabinet over here full of marketing material that I've stolen over the years of just stuff that I thought was a really cool idea. This is my assistant, Kevin. So Kevin's doing a great job changing all of our marketing. I think he's even got a brochure over there that we're going through and changing, again, appealing to what are the luxury consumers looking at? What do they expect? So that's number one. Number 2 is the first thing I did was I started doing open houses in a luxury area. One of the best ways to meet people that you don't know in a market that you don't know is to go meet them where they are. My first $1 million transaction was an open house. It was the first weekend it was on the market. Buyer came through unrepresented. It was multiple offers and we won. And that was my first one. And then I just kept building in that area. And then in 2019, I was ranked number 3 in that particular neighborhood, and it was all $1 million clients.
Yeah.
So open houses.
Yeah,
and
I think it's
volunteer.
awesome, Michael. I think you talk about that in your book, or maybe I misread. But I think one of the things you talked about in your book was like, get the first one, market the heck out of it, if I remember correctly, right? So it's like, get the first one, whatever it is, and like tell that story like crazy, and that helps kind of begin to build a little bit of that momentum.
Yeah, that's correct. And if you don't have that first one, then perhaps leverage others. You know, if I was in Alex's office and I wasn't on his team, but you know, perhaps I brought some additional value to the table, I might just say, hey, Alex, you got this amazing property at 123 Lakeshore Drive. Would you mind? I see that you're doing a broker open, or you're doing an open house, or maybe he's not, but hey, would you mind if I posted and I shared it? And let's face it, a lot of people, they scroll through their Facebook, their phone, or their computers on mute by default, and they see, you know, this agent doing a video walkthrough of this $3.9 million lakefront condo.
Yeah.
And but always disclose, you know, of course, get permission from Alex ahead of time. You know, what's in it for Alex? So, hey, Alex, do you have a property website that you want me to reference? You know, that sort of thing. So there's got to be something in it for the listing agent, but don't borrow somebody's, you know, like the old song from the mid-90s, OPP. You can't borrow other people's properties without permission first, because that's happened to me. I've had agents where I've had people like, hey, Mike, do you see this agent is posting your property, and he didn't get authorization. The seller was upset, all this other thing. So you got to be upfront. You got to be ethical.
Yep. Amen. All right, Ivan, you're dropped in Dallas tomorrow. You want to get a luxury. What are you going to do?
What my coaches told me from the beginning was, you need to start reading the Wall Street Journal, stay on top of current world topics. A lot of the clients that I work with have gotten to be in the luxury space or live in these beautiful homes because they travel the world. They're businessmen and women. They're very smart. And so being able to have a conversation outside of real estate on world topics, obviously there's certain things that I stay away from, has really served me well, because I've been able to connect with a client, not just on real estate, but on life. And when that becomes the case, then it's more of just a business relationship. Then it becomes a personal relationship, where then I get introduced to, you should come to my birthday party. I have 20 of my friends coming. I go and meet their friends. And, you know, that's another possibility. It's like opening up my sphere, like, you know, like over and over again as I meet more people and connect with people. And not everyone I connect with. It's sometimes, you know, this is just a business transaction, just get the job done. And that's totally fine. But comes the opportunities where I'm able to come into someone's home and connect with them on a much deeper level. And then that becomes another sphere of influence for me. And then their sphere slowly becomes my sphere. And, you know, my coach would always say, hey, you need to go where the luxury sellers hang out. And in order to get to those places, you need to put your foot in the door. So just being able to connect with them, not just on real estate, but in life. And that just,
yes. Well, and what's interesting about what you all are saying is it's so similar to like regular real estate. It's just being more intentional and fishing for who you want to catch. Right. And I think so many people don't even realize that what they're putting out there is what they're putting out is what they're attracting. They're just putting out a whole lot of $180,000 vibes, right? And everything they're marketing, all the videos they're doing, and everything else. So, all right, Stephen and Jamie, I want to hear from you. Then I want to go back to, I want to know what tools you guys are using and how you separate yourself from everybody else. So, Stephen, Jamie, I want to hear from you first. I just want to let everybody else get their brains rolling. What tools you're using? How do you separate yourself from everybody else? But from you two first, what would you do day one?
It's an unusual hypothetical question. You know, I think that to answer it correctly, I would have to assume that I'm established, but not necessarily in the luxury market. And if I'm established and going over to Dallas, let's say from LA, first thing I would do is go and visit the different agencies and try to partner with somebody that I feel like is kind of established in their own right. Because, you know, for instance, Dallas, I actually know Dallas. I've lived briefly in Dallas in the past. But even then, I wouldn't know where the luxury areas are. I wouldn't know kind of what Mike was saying earlier, you know your product. There's a lot of information you need to gather before you can really try to claim to be a luxury realtor in a brand new market. So I'm a big fan of partnering. I'm a big fan of spreading out what you're good at with somebody else that maybe they're not as good at what you're good at. I'm a very good salesman. Diana is a very, very organized document person. And she's also very British. So she's not a bragger. Whereas I'm more than happy to brag about what we've done. And those two things, we complement each other very, very well. And if I was to just suddenly uproot and jet to Dallas myself, I would probably try to find a partner that had those similar qualities and knew the area.
Interesting. Yeah. I love that. I think it's really interesting. Awesome. All right, Jamie, what'd you do?
Sorry, what's the question again?
Day one, what's the 2 or 3 things you would do to break into the luxury market?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I feel like people are just answering around the question, but I feel like, it's all about networking again for me as well. So, I mean, just figuring out ways to meet people.
So really tactically, how would you network? So I know there's right, since it's kind of around, how would you do it? Would you join the country club and try to have lunch with a different person? What would you do if you're trying to break into that?
So personally, actually, one thing that's been really, really great for me is actually networking with other realtors around the country. So
yes.
You guys know, I do a lot of social media, which is great. I do Instagram all day, every day. I do LinkedIn, Facebook, and WeChat, and it's great for meeting clients. But believe it or not, more than half of my followers are agents from around the country.
Amen. Yes.
That I've met 30 under 30 from my Asian Real Estate Association of America, ARIA, and just different organizations. And I do several referrals every month from my connections just around the country. So I think networking can mean meeting clients directly. So if you do go to the country club and you do golf, then you should do that route, right? If it's not you're not you, force it, right? So for me, a lot of social media. I did go to a lot of networking events before COVID when we had meetups and stuff like that. So one of the groups that I was in is called Silicon Beach Young Professionals Network, that's here in LA. And there's a couple little groups that I was part of. But yeah, I think on social media, it's really cool because you can meet people from all around the country. And a lot of my agent friends will be like, oh, I don't like it when other agents add me or I don't follow them or whatever. And I'm like, why not? They're a huge source of business for me. So
yeah, and I think for a lot of you, would you all agree that a lot of your business comes from other agents referring you in, those connections you made around the country? Yeah, but I think so if I hear you all, just to put a bow on breaking in, I hear a couple things. One is get clear on who you want to work with and go be where they are. That's the first thing I heard, right? Who do I want to work with and how do I go be where they are and build those relationships? That's the first thing I heard. Second thing that I heard was you got to be wildly knowledgeable. And I think that's one of the big gaps between a regular agent and a luxury agent is regular agents get away with blowing a lot of smoke. Luxury agents need to know their stuff. They're expected to know the market at a much deeper level, not just their local market, but the national and the world market at a much deeper level than most average agents will ever know. So that's the second thing I heard. And then the other one was really get familiar, not just with the numbers, but get familiar with the market as far as going out and touring homes, looking at homes, and then putting it out there that's who you are. Is that correct? Putting out there, hey, look at the house I'm touring. Hey, look at the home I'm doing an open house at, all that kind of stuff. So did I miss any of the key main things about breaking in? Yeah, Stephen.
Being comfortable and willing to give hard truths. I think when you get into a luxury market, you get into a lot of people that have very, very wild expectations that are just not achievable and not fillable. And when you're brand new, you just want to say yes to everything. And honestly, I think people sniff that out very, very easily.
Yes.
Being very comfortable to say, look, I love your property. I think it's amazing. I know you have a lot of personal investment in this property and everything. It just doesn't comp. It just doesn't comp at the price that you're looking at. And, I'm more than happy to work with you and try to show you that it's not really your choice what the property is worth. It's not even my choice. It's the market's choice what the property is worth. I'm more than happy to help you see that through the market by listing it and putting it on, as long as you're fully understanding that we're going to be reducing, that you're overpriced. But those hard truths, there's a way to say that you keep the positivity, you keep the optimism, and you keep the moving forward. And if you're not comfortable doing that, you're going to lose out on a lot of listings.
Yeah, and I think that that's a skill you develop over. It's not just a natural talent. I think what you're referring to is really a skill you develop and hone, getting great at having those.
I think there's an art to it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let me transition a little bit. How are and I want to go around quickly on this. And I want to move to just a couple of other questions I have if we can get to them. What is your I don't love using the word UVP, but what is either your value proposition, or how do you separate, maybe a better question, how do you separate yourself from everybody else? If you have something specific, I'd love to hear that. If you don't have something specific, then just pass. But how do you separate yourself from everybody else in a world of all the different agents, etc.?
Google. I mean, what I mean by that is people are going to Google you ahead of time. So if you're not, if your brand isn't succinct, whether it be through social media, your website, again, you might not be a LinkedIn person, but your prospect might be. I mean, your profiles need to be optimized. Your look and feel, your website. I mean, how many deals are you not getting? How many opportunities are you not getting because people have checked you out and your message to market doesn't match? So again, you really need to, I call it a SWOT analysis, your strengths, your weaknesses, your opportunities and threats. You got to do a hard look at yourself. And it's just like Wayne, in college, I know I struggled with my essays. I'd have people proofread my essays because there might've been an error in there that I didn't see. So you need to really have a fresh eyes analysis on your branding and your marketing and your social media, not by you, but by someone that's going to not tell you what you want to hear, but be honest with you.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Huge.
I'll take a crack at it. So mine comes down to market knowledge and expertise. Ever since I've been in the business, I've always had an emphasis and a focus on historically significant properties, architecturally significant. And there's a certain nuance to working with an old house and also an old house client. And in the area that I farm, that I actually live in the neighborhood, I do architecture tours for the neighborhood. I'm on a first name basis with most of the residents in the neighborhood. And then I also have a book of buyers who contact me saying, hey, if anything ever comes up on the market in this neighborhood, can you give us a call? One of my first transactions in the neighborhood was an off-market seller and an off-market buyer. And the transaction was completely quiet and no one knew about it. And that's exactly what both clients wanted. And I got both sides. So that was when I say market knowledge, I'm not talking about knowing the comps. It's knowing those properties on such an intimate level that no other agent can speak to it. A quick example, I just went on a listing appointment in the neighborhood, and there were 13 relevant sales. They spoke with 3 other agents, and every agent showed them the same comps over and over again. I had the ability to go in and say, I know those 13 homes, and of the 13, I've personally been in 9 of them. So I've shown them, I've sold them, I've listed them. I was the listing agent on 2 of them. But that kind of expertise is unmatched. That's one way to really set yourself apart. And
amen. Well, and I love the wording you used, even everybody paying attention. Instead of saying like, "Hey, here's the comparable homes," in the world you guys live in, nobody wants to have a comparable home, right? So you go, "Hey, here's the relevant properties," right? Even those little word shifts make a big difference. So, Stephen, like you're saying, like honor the craft and love it. Treat it like it is a amazing brain. It is brain surgery in a sense, right? This is rocket science, right? Getting great at knowing that and treating it with that kind of respect, I think, is one of the things that allows you to get, like you're saying, Alex, knowing that stuff into a level is huge. So Ivan, Jamie, Stephen, anything else you're doing to separate yourself? Yeah, Stephen.
To piggyback on that, you're talking about how you start feeling like a bit of a brain surgeon. There's something to be said about that. This is one of those jobs that I think a lot of people get into thinking it's going to be very, very easy. And that it's going to be, I can do it part-time. I can work from home. I can, raise my kids and all that stuff. And anybody that's really spent any time in this knows that just doesn't work. And not only that, to move a little bit further, when you really want to be good at this, you want to be a top 1%, you want to be a luxury agent and everything, you need to know property law. You need to know business law. You need to know a lot of different things that have nothing to do with finding and selling a home outside of, the aspects of selling that, that refer to law. But the more you know about this kind of stuff, I mean, the $11 million property I was talking about earlier, we had such an issue with an easement. And it was just the sort of thing that, thankfully we've dealt with easements before and we knew how to go about the process. But, we very easily could not have known how to do that because it's not the sort of thing you come across on a daily basis.
Yep. Awesome. Ivan, Jamie, anything else you want to add about how you separate yourself or what your value proposition is to the market?
Yeah, I mean, for myself, I look at things still with like an accounting background. So if I know the client is very financially savvy, I present my information as so, and my perspective on looking at the home, not just as a home, but more of a financial model. And that's how I put down in my listing presentation and how I go about it. Also, instead of telling people what I'm going to do, I show them what I'm going to do. We make, for certain properties, we'll go and I'll have my photographer go out and take a couple of photos. If it's behind gates, I mean, there's nothing we can do unless there's like older photos, but we'll kind of show them, this is what we can do for you. And I put it out in front of them with the picture of the home, with the information, with the description that we have already written. So it kind of shows them ahead of time. They're like, wow, these people are on top of their shit. And then excuse my language. And then it's also,
you're in a safe place, by the way. This you're on the right call.
Safe space,
so
great. Yeah. And then we put together like an actual marketing calendar that they can follow with us along the way, along the journey, so that they know that we're going to do what we say we're going to do. Because I think, I used to do it when I was younger in the business. I would say I was going to do this, this, and this, and we're going to put in this magazine and that. And half of it was all smoke. But if they can see that you're actually of your word and everything that you do, you're going to do, if for some reason it comes time to expiration or something happens, they're probably going to keep using you because they see that you're at least being honest about your process. And it's not the process, it's the price. So then they can, then we change the price.
I love it. All right. By the way, if any of y'all have questions, type them in the box below. Make sure panelists, you put your information below there so we can connect with you, follow you, etc. What do you wish, what's either something you're using right now, like a tool, or something you're doing now that you wish you would have started doing when you first got in? Give me a couple answers. What do you, like you're saying, I led to that, right? Like you're showing them what you do, whereas used to you tell them, right? So what's something a tool or a tactic you're using now, or what are you doing now that you wish you would have done when you very first got in?
I mean, if they had Matterport Google, I bring the whole like Matterport Google, the Oculus goggles, and I show them not their property, but other similar properties. Because when they can touch it and see what you can do, because I bring that to every luxury listing appointment and people love that, especially if they're a little older and they've never had the experience of actually putting one of these things on. They really get psyched out from that. And they're like, wow, this is incredible. Even though I think, I've been using it for a while. So I wish if that was around 11 years ago, I probably would have been using it and for all listings, but I think that's like a great touch because they actually get to do something, not just listen to you, but actually be involved in the process of the listing presentation.
I love it. So Jamie, Alex, Michael, Stephen, what are you guys doing to enhance the experience? I think that's a great way to kind of rephrase that question. Like, because would you agree if the experience is really, really important? Is that a huge part of it, or am I making that up? Like the overall experience is big for the clients.
100%. We talked a little bit about this before, about how it's kind of an art to be able to give hard truths and everything. I think there's also an art to making sure that every step of the way is calm and understood and clear. And it's something that when you're newer, I think there's a nervous energy that you just have. It's really hard to get beyond that without just straight up experience, without just time. But the longer you've been doing it, the more that you've gone through the shit experiences that we will all end up having to go through in order to be luxury realtors or top end realtors. The more you can convey that to your clients and just make them feel calm and confident every hurdle and step along the way. One of the big things that really helps is when you overcome something, a home doesn't appraise and you get through that, or whatever it is at any point, make sure it's, yay, we got over this hurdle. There's more to come. Here are the next potential hurdles coming. It's a really important thing that just lets them know, oh, good. They have this great sense of happiness and accomplishment. And then 2 days later, there's another issue and it just drops them like a ton of bricks.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. Jamie, what'd you have?
Well, I would say that, especially when you're first breaking into the luxury real estate market, you may not be able to have all that experience and knowledge and, know about all the architecture in the neighborhood, know all the people in the neighborhood and things like that. Like I didn't, right? I was 21 years old and I was just kind of diving into it. So what I was able to do is just communicate with my clients super well every step of the way and just take care of everything for them as well as I could. And I know it sounds like so simple and basic, but just like if they asked me a question I didn't know, I wouldn't make anything up or act all nervous and awkward. I would just say, you know what, I don't know, but I'll find out for you immediately. And I would get back to them in like 20 minutes and they'll be like, wow, like even though she didn't know, she got back to me right away. So I just made sure I had contacts for everything, attorneys, lawyers, CPAs, title officers, everything that could answer my questions and have them on hand. And I feel like, if people will give you a chance as long as you're honest with them and you're genuine with them. So that's kind of my advice, is that you don't necessarily have to pretend like you're a big shot and like, do all this stuff that you think the other agents are doing, because that's not you, just be yourself and bring what you have to the table. And if you don't know, just be honest and people will be okay with that, I think.
Yeah, I love that. So what I hear you saying is like, sell what you have. If they're your one client, like, man, I'm going to give you all the attention in the world, literally all the attention in the world, because you're the only one I'm working with. But whatever it is, like, sell what you have.
Feel that way, basically,
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Alex, you were going to say something.
Yeah, there's one tool that I've used for the last 4 years now, is just, again, going back to market expertise, but also going back to what Ivan was saying about knowing the luxury literature, is I have a luxury market report for my particular farm neighborhood of not just recent sales and a list of sales. Like, yeah, that's one thing, but what does it mean? What's the fluctuation value last year compared to this year? What's the market doing? What is the market saying about homes in this neighborhood, or frankly in Chicago in general? And what's so interesting is, over time, as that report has gone out, I get people that stop me in the coffee shop. Hey, I got your letter in the mail. Is it true that the inventory's down, the median price is up? Is now a good time to talk about selling my house? Like, do you have anybody for my house? I get stopped all the time. And because it positions you as an expert, and it positions you as the local expert of choice, someone that can actually interpret what's going on in the market rather than just listing out a bunch of sales. That's made a big difference, and it's old school and it works.
Yes. Yep. I love it. All right, so let's transition for a second. I want to know, first off, what can we do to thank you guys for doing this call? So I want to hear from you. What can we do to help you, support you, etc., for being on this call with us?
Referrals.
Well, there we go. I love it. Yes.
I work the city of Chicago. I don't really go out to Michael's territory in the suburbs. But anything, if you look at a map of Chicago, anything from Lakeshore to 94, that is my territory.
Awesome. I love it. I love it.
Well,
Ivan, Stephen, Jamie, how can we support you?
So obviously, referrals are great. Work the greater Los Angeles area. But obviously my book for me is my baby, my 3.5-year-old baby. So that comes out in November. You could buy it now on Barnes & Noble, Book Soup, Amazon. It's going to be a Target, I believe, as well. So it's Brand with Purpose with Ivan Estrada. So that'll be out in November. Or if you need help with your video and your branding and your marketing, if you go to brandwith.com and you sign up for our VIP list, the program should be out end of June, mid to end of June. So that'll be it.
Dude, how cool. Well, and even we talked about earlier, like, tell the story. Like, if I was going to get a luxury, well, the first thing I would do after this call is go on social media and go, hey, I'm so grateful for these 4 people for pouring into me, right? Yada, yada, yada. I'm so grateful to be able to spend time with these people who are the best of the best. Here's some of the things that I learned that I'm going to be able to take back to my clients. Like, tell the story like you've done such a great job on. All right, Jamie, what'd you have?
Yeah, I mean, I think just obviously we'd love to work with your referrals, but I mean, let's connect with each other. Like, follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @JamieTian. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn. Let's connect. And I love just seeing what other realtors are doing, and I think we can all share ideas. And yeah.
Amen. I love it.
I've stolen a bunch of Jamie's ideas, by the way. I followed her. I followed Jamie on Instagram for years, and I love your stuff. Big fan.
Amen. Amen. R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate. There you go. Okay. Let me ask you guys about real estate. What are you going to spend more time and money on this year, in the next 12 months? What are you going to spend less time and money on? So you don't have to answer all of those, but like, where are you kind of reallocating some of your energy and your money in the next 12 months based on what you think is going to happen? I know all of you are in the know. So what are you going to do personally over the next 12 months? More money, more time, maybe readjusting your focus.
I'm probably going to spend more money and more time to my past clients. My past client, I connected with them so much during the pandemic last year. I was getting things delivered to them, checking in with them, sending them video messages, trying to be as personal as I possibly could. Because I think all of us are big drivers where we want more and more and more. And I'm very well known in like going to this networking event, that networking event, and this social and that social, and this philanthropic event where it was like more people. And, we have all these people as past clients who know what we work like, they support us, they know us. And so I realized last year, I need to spend more time and resources on the people who have gotten me to where I've got to where I'm at now, instead of always trying to find for more, right? Always more, because they're the ones who've got me to where I've gotten. And, they're going to be my repeat clients, and they're going to be the ones who are going to send me amazing referrals because they've actually worked with me.
Amen. Would you all agree with that? Like your list, your database, your clients are like the most critical part of this whole thing. Yeah. It was funny, Brian White, you and I were talking this morning about, you said how many of your clients work with like most of their business comes from their sphere versus whatever else. And somehow we came to the answer of most of my happy clients work mostly with their sphere, right? Like that's where the majority of their business comes from is from their sphere, right? They're not chasing, the majority of them aren't chasing internet leads and all this other crap. They're like you said, I think you did such a great job last year, right? Like building a moat around your people and kind of enlarging your kingdom a little bit and just going like, this is where I get ginormous bang for my buck. Why would I spend a whole lot of time chasing cold when it's right here and I can foster this? So I think that's a beautiful answer. Yeah. Stephen, Alex, Jamie, where are you going to spend more time and effort in the next 12 months?
I kind of in that same thought. Yes. Very much with the clients that we know, because I find that a very large amount of our brand new business, people we've never met before, are 1 to 2 degrees from people that we know very well. Whether it's past clients, whether it's friends, whether it's whatever, but 1 to 2 degrees from there tends to be, the majority of our new clients. So yeah, sitting down, we're finally able to go out and have dinners again and drinks and whatnot, and reconnecting with a lot of these people that you just know have large social networks. We have funny pockets of networks, and that helps for us. But when you meet these people and you know that they're just social butterflies, sit down with them, talk about what's going on for you. We've had a fantastic pandemic. That sounds horrible. It's a misnomer, but we've done very, very well in this pandemic. And the more you sit down and just casually work it into a conversation, the better. And that word spreads. You get that snowball rolling, and it just keeps building.
Love it. Yep, very true. All right, Alex and Jamie.
I've discovered the joy of building a team. I was a solo agent for 9 years up until October when I brought Kevin on board. And then just last week, I hired a second team member because we've grown so quickly. To Ivan and Steven's points of pouring into your past clients and your people, we have some of the most amazing clients, and they've been so giving that they've gotten us to a point where our business is growing because of the relationships we built with them. And I couldn't do it on my own. And growing a team challenges you in ways that I never expected. And so I'm spending a lot of time and money just on pouring back into the people that move the business forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think,
Jamie?
yeah, during the last year and a half with the pandemic and everything, I've actually reconnected with a lot of my past clients and friends, and like high school classmates, college classmates on Facebook and on Instagram and on social media, like virtually. So I actually want to now kind of further those reconnections and try to meet in person. And now that we can go out again and start meeting people and kind of continue fostering those relationships. So I think we've been missing that like in-person kind of touch. And I think like, when it's safe to do so, obviously, I think that's going to really enhance my relationships, which is going to enhance.
So would you all say that the pandemic revealed to you that there was an opportunity to go deeper in relationships? Is that what I'm hearing you all say? It's like it kind of revealed like I've been going, and maybe I've kind of got a little wide, and maybe I need to get more intentional about going deep. Is that what I'm hearing? Okay.
Oh yeah.
What I'm hearing y'all say is probably not 100% true, but what I'm hearing you say is it's almost impossible to build a luxury business not based on relationships. Like, is it possible? Maybe. But what I'm hearing you all say is it would be wildly difficult to try to build a luxury business that was not based and rooted in building great, strong relationships over time.
Yeah. It's definitely not coming in from a Zillow request.
Right.
Amen. Yes.
It's rare.
Yes.
It's rare.
Yes.
It's not like you can just like churn them and burn them. It's not like you can't just keep selling 100 of the same. They're all so different. Every client is so different.
Right. And I think that's something that's important to say, though, is that you need to have that base of non-luxury, like you need to have that constant cycle going to show that, if nothing else, to show yourself that you know how to do this from A to Z.
Yeah, well, and I was gonna ask that question of y'all, like, would you just like abandon residential real estate, like, and then just like I'm luxury from now on out, or would you like keep the bread and butter a little bit as you're going and continue to do that? Because it might be my perspective, but it seems like luxury real estate in some of these like in some of the places like in Dallas, it seems like luxury is moving, or everybody's kind of held off a little bit based on what's happening in the market, and then it moves again, and then it kind of holds. It's probably a little different where your average sales price is $1 million or 5 million or whatever it is. But would y'all is that kind of what you would all say, or is it just abandon ship and luxury only?
No, you got to do both, because you never know which way the market's going to sway, right? And you can't forget about the people who got you where you got, right? So it's
My favorite story I had about 2 years ago, I got $1 million listing from a past client who I sold this little $76,000 house, 4 or 5 years ago. And one of his best friends, who was a local business owner, was so impressed with how I handled this little $76,000 sale. She was in the middle of firing her agent, who was a well-known luxury broker at the in that area. And she's like, if you're going to take care of my friend with this little house, like, I want you to work on my house. And I sold that. It was $993 was a sales price. It was from one little house. You never know where your next client is going to come from, especially in the luxury market. So
yeah, dude, that is so true. I mean, I remember I was teaching Bold in LA and heard a similar story. This one of the students sold a house for like, $150,000 in the middle of nowhere, whatever it was, or 200,000, whatever that was. And literally he gets a referral like a month and a half later, and he goes, hey, my house cleaner said, if I don't let you sell my house, she's going to quit. Right. And it's because he took care of this lady at a really, really high level. Little did he know that she was a house cleaner for this guy. And she goes, look, I'm going to quit if you don't use him. Right. Because he took such good care of me. So like I said, treat everybody the same in the sense, which is huge. All right. I want to know from the four of you, and I know some of you have to jump off or stay on as long as you want for our tribe call. What are the opportunities in the next 12 months? Where are we headed? If anyone knows where we head in the next 12 months, what opportunities should we really be looking at?
I think the next 12 months is more of the same. I don't have a crystal ball and everything, but I don't see the interest rates going up. I don't see a flood of new homes coming on the market. It's great that vaccinations are happening and people are a little bit more willing to move now, but I don't see a flood happening. And as long as there are low interest rates and no inventory, prices are going to be up. So if you're a listing agent, it's the best time in the world. If you're a buyer's agent, it's hard.
Yes.
I think one opportunity is, this is not a plug for referrals, but what I am saying though, is one great value proposition to a luxury client is your network of agents around the country. And one thing that as luxury clients, like they're always looking to diversify their portfolios. And if you look at the real estate markets that were hit hardest by COVID, it's always the largest real estate markets, New York, Chicago, any of those large cities. And right now, some of those large cities, the downtown markets are struggling. And the place to pick up deals right down the street in River North, Streeterville, right downtown, where 13 to 15% of those high rises, the 13 to 15% of the condos in those buildings are on the market. That's a great investment opportunity because guess what? If you buy properties that are 10, 15, 20% below market now, and you hold on to them for 2 years, well, 2 years down the road, you've got a property that as the city reopens, people come back to work, theaters are open, back open, people are going to want to be back in those cities again. So it's an opportunity to send, if you have any clients, send those referrals to agents in those markets, really do your homework. And it's a great opportunity for you to build your credibility as well. You can make your clients a lot of money in other markets.
Amen. Yeah. Jamie?
That is so true. I mean, here in Los Angeles, Los Angeles is so spread out and each neighborhood is so different. Like the suburbs of Los Angeles, the Valley, or even Orange County is so hot right now. It's probably gone up about 10% or more just in the last 12 months. But the downtown LA market actually, which I used to work a lot in, but right now it's just dead. It's pretty sad. It's gone down probably 20, 30%. You can't even rent anything out. And it's like, I can't see it not recovering. Obviously it's downtown LA and it has, all the businesses are there, but it's crazy. I mean, I had a client who bought there in 2017, a little 1-bedroom condo at new construction high rise for like $850,000. And we have it listed now for $650 and it won't even barely get showings. I mean, it's rough. So, I mean, if you're looking for deals right now in LA, you can't get them basically anywhere else, but in downtown, you can literally steal a property and it's crazy with like views and everything.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to y'all having the expertise and being part of it. I think, for people that are in the tribe, it's so important to make those connections and call Alex and call Jamie and go, okay, what are the opportunities? I mean, when was the last time you heard about deals downtown LA or downtown Chicago? Like, I guarantee it was not in the last 9 years. Like,
Or
not in
New
the
York.
last 9 years.
Yeah.
Has Alex called and said, hey, I got to steal downtown or, Chicago. It's like, what? Right? Like you're saying, Jamie, when you say, a deal downtown LA, like, that's a little weird. Like, that's crazy, right? And those are the opportunities. So we've got to be educated enough to be able to say, hey, here's the opportunity. Here's what the numbers play out with. And here's where we're going. Yeah, huge. Anything else? Anything other opportunities you guys would share or words of wisdom you would have for everybody else, even just agents in general right now? What would be your word of wisdom if they had to remember one brilliant thing that came from you during this call? What would you want them to walk away with?
3 words: go make friends.
That's all. Now somebody has to top that, Alex. That was good. Oh.
Especially right now, like if you're even representing buyers at all, it's like multiple offers everywhere. You have to be like best friends with the listing agent in order to get a deal done. So you better like either if your client is looking at a certain neighborhood, you need to know all the top listing agents in that neighborhood and like be best friends with them literally, or else you're not going to get your offer accepted when there's 30 offers, So like making friends with the local realtors, although it seems like a waste of time, it's important too.
Yep.
Hard truths. And that follows very much in line with that. If you're honest with your buyers and say, look, it's an impossible market right now, and we've got a strategy and, we're going to do our absolute best to put our best foot forward. and we're going to do our best over a long period of time, and you're going to lose several times.
Yeah.
Hard truth.
So Stephen, if I came to you and I was a great buyer maybe 12 months ago, but I may not be a great buyer right now, what are the 2 or 3 key things you're going to tell me, right? Are you going to ask, make sure I am a buyer? Like what's that initial conversation going to sound like?
Well, I mean, if you're a, let's say a so well-qualified buyer that's not all cash right now, the 2 best things I'm going to say is A, you're going to overpay, or B, wait it out, and if you're a must buy, there's always going to be must buys in every market. You just have to accept that that's the way it is. And a lot of times you can't convince somebody of that. You're just going to have to lose 5, 6, 7, 8 times. We've got a buyer right now in that $1 to $1.2 million range that we finally just got into escrow with. And it's, she lost 8 times. That was her 9th offer. And
Wow.
there's nothing you can do. You can't convince them when they are certain they want to have a deal. The only deal
This is not the deal market.
a terrible home. The homes that you can get deals on right now are teardowns or something, they're not good homes.
Weird that something weird happened there,
Somebody died on the property or whatever.
Yeah. If we get a deal, we're going to also find a body. So just so
possibly.
you know,
Ooh.
yeah.
Funny story though.
There's a lot of buyers that don't care.
The other day I made an offer on behalf of my buyer on a home that had, in a very nice neighborhood in South Pasadena, had a bullet hole through the living room window. And we were like, no way. We still offered over asking. And then they came back to us and they said, we got 33 offers.
Yep.
300,000 over.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Well, I think it's great for us to collect those stories, because then you go like, look, this is happening everywhere. This is what we're really into. And yet what I think is so great about the 4 of you as well is you all 4 really have a history of embracing reality, right? Right. Whether it was, hey, things are going online, I need to be there. Or, hey, the market's doing this, I've got to do what it takes. Or right. So you all have a history of not resisting the reality. So people go, what do I do about, builders that are cutting commissions or whatever it is? It's like, you deal with it, right? Embrace reality and lean in. You might have to sell 3 times more, which means you got to make 3 times more phone calls, whatever it is. But you've all embraced reality, and you're willing to have tough conversations, not only with your clients, but with yourself on, here's what it's going to take. Here's what I need to do, moving forward. What's your best advice to a seller right now that's saying, hey, we want to sell, but we don't know where we're going to go? When something comes on the market that we can buy, like, what's your advice to sellers right now? What are the 2 or 3 options you're laying out for them?
I got one.
Yeah, Ivan and then Steven. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, so I mean, right now I've had clients or buyers offer 3, 4, 5 month lease backs on a cash offer, which is a great lease back, and it gives the seller at least some options to and some kind of, it reduces the anxiety of like, where are we going to go next, or what are we going to do? We also, in Los Angeles, we have a lot of part-time rentals, either weekly or monthly rentals that we have in certain buildings that are, I wouldn't call them vacant, but there's a lot of space. And so that's been an option for us. So that way clients don't feel like they have to buy something that they don't love and kind of jump into something and then have to cancel the offer just because, they felt the craze of all the offers, and, they felt the energy and they don't want to lose. And so they end up buying something or going into escrow into something that they didn't even want. So yeah, that's been pretty popular here.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and I think like what I hear you saying is like, hey, here's this amazing opportunity. It may mean that we rent for 6 months or a year or whatever it is, right? And that's, do you want to do that or do you not want to do that, right? But like laying it out where it's like, hey, if you want to take advantage of this bonus equity or whatever it is, the opportunity right now, here's what you do. Let's sell your house. You'll rent a house for a year. And by the way, we're going to buy 2 condos downtown and rent them out because it's incredible. You know what I mean? Whatever it is. So like crafting those opportunities, I hear is huge. Steven, what'd you have?
So if you're on the seller side right now, you are in the position of power. Don't rush. And that's for the agents. Don't rush. It feels like, oh my God, let's get on the market. We're going to get an incredible price and we'll have this sold in 2 minutes. Just get all of your ducks in a row. And the number one duck right now is, what is your seller going to do? If they're going to buy, and they're going to buy in the single family residence in any of the hot markets right now, start looking with them first. We've got a property in Tarzana that we just sold, but we were looking for 6 months to find their property of choice prior to putting it on the market. It was ready to go. It was ready to be on the market 6 months ago. But we knew that they were going to buy in LA. So if you know that, you can't rush the property on the market. Get them out there, let them see what's happening. They're going to lose several times before they actually are the winners and are in escrow. When you get into escrow, you have that property ready and you tell that listing agent, we are ready to go. Everything's prepped. We can hit the market tomorrow if you guys accept our offer. But there's no way I could have moved them with their 4 kids out without a definite place to go.
Right.
Don't rush.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. All right. I want to hear, I got 1 or 2 more things, but I'm going to take a screenshot. So I'll let you smile if you want to. Everyone always gets pissed at me if I don't give them a little heads up. There's always like one person picking their nose. So there you go. It's amazing how quiet we get when we take a picture. It's like we can't talk and smile at the same time. There we go. Okay. Here's one of my final questions. And Tribe, if you have one, feel free to drop it in there if you have a question. Or I want to hear from a couple of you Tribe members. Unmute yourself and give a little bit of gratitude. Like, hey, I'm thrilled I learned this. This was great. So unmute yourself and share some of that. I want to hear from all 4 of you real quick though. What do you want to be? What do you want to be proud of a year from now? So if we were talking a year from now, what's happened over the next 12 months? It's going to be awesome. So Ivan, you're going to release the book. You got the right, like, what do you want to be able to be like, holy cow, amazing year. Here's what happened.
Well, the goal for me in November is to hit the New York Times bestseller list. This book, I threw my life into it. Like, I'm open about everything, about addiction, about being homeless, about everything that happened in my life that I felt broken for so many years. And I was able to throw everything out in this book, and then also 32 other interviews with amazing brand strategists. And I realized we all go through challenges, and those challenges was what built the grit that got them to where it got them. And I really hope that this book, New York Times bestseller, that would be great, but I just hope it helps a lot of people. And, my video course, and keep expanding the team. And then I have a couple of media opportunities for shows, which would be great if it's the right fit, because it has to be in line with the brand. It has to be in line with who I am, and not just to be on a network television show throwing a vase of flowers from across the table, which I'm never going to do. It's just not, I was going to say, I'm a classy broad. I don't do that.
Amen. Well, I love it. Well, it's one of the reasons I love you so much. I'm so grateful for you being on those calls, because like, you have been through shit and you have got your teeth kicked in a couple of times. And like, you have like continued to move through this authentically and in such an incredible way. Like, it's just, it's so cool to like have be able to watch. That's awesome. So we will all buy multiple copies, give you as much love on social as we can. It's pretty awesome. Alex, Steven, Jamie, what do you want to be proud of 12 months from now?
I would say I'm having like the best year ever so far right now. So I just want to continue the momentum and continue it into 2021 and 2022, and hopefully I'm actually personally, I'm like selling my condo right now. So I have to buy a place myself. So I have to jump into this crazy market and compete with everyone else. So hopefully I won't be homeless for too long. And by that time, next year I have a place to call home again.
Amen. Yes. Oh, experience the real pain. Yes.
I just want to get through this year and feel like I've still got my sanity. For me, it's, just like Jamie was saying there, we're having our best year by far ever. We're in the sweet spot and everything's going really, really well. But, I work with my wife and we have 3 kids that we're neglecting because we're working so much. And you just have these moments of burnout and there's no end in sight. And at the same time, I also feel like I'm complaining about something we've been striving for 10 years. So, if I can get through this year and just still be married and sane and a good dad, then I'm going to be really, really proud of that.
Yeah. Well, and what I hear from all of you is I think that there's a massive amount of opportunity right now. It's going to be different though. Like you're going to have to work harder. You're going to have to be more educated than you've ever had to be. Like, but there's massive opportunity. And the reality is, if you don't want to do the hard work, that's okay. Like unemployment's super low. So like, go get a job. But if you're going to stay in this space, like, yeah, you're going to have to work a little harder. You have to go a little deeper. You have to know a little more. And there's massive opportunity right now, which is going to be really cool to celebrate and be proud of what we worked through. So yeah, Alex.
I'm kind of in the same Jamie train where there's personal and professional, and my whole, I guess all my goals revolved around like 30, because 30 under 30 was a big vision I had, but also ending the year at 35 million, then dropping 30 pounds because COVID has not been kind to me.
That's a different call, Alex. We'll do that one
I
later.
know,
Yeah.
I know, but I turned 30 in January, so it's like just 30, 30, 30 all the way around. So
Yeah, that's
I'm
awesome.
32 in a few weeks.
Oh my goodness. Oh, people
You guys
ask
are
what
so
year I was 30
young.
under 30, and I'm like, I'm not telling you what year I was 30 under 30. It was a minute. It was a minute ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I love it. All right. I want to hear just a couple things from the tribe, and everybody feel free to stay on as long as you'd like to. We are so grateful for you being here. You guys all have, it says a lot about you that you chose to spend time with us. Thank you for doing that. Seriously means a lot to me. I value my friendships with all of you, Steve, and I'm looking forward to get to know you even better. It's been pretty awesome. So from the tribe, I want to hear a couple things you heard. Give these guys a little bit of love. What's a couple things you heard that helped you, or that you're going to go implement? Devin, I'll put you on the spot first.
Well, the first thing is that it's
Devin!
Hi. It's this was a really cool experience. It's funny because when you said you were going to do something about luxury homes, I was like, we'll skip that. I live in Wasilla. And but what's interesting is that I got a ton of value from this, even though, I mean, we are definitely not the ideal luxury home market by any stretch of the imagination, but it was so cool to hear you interview Stephen. I've known Stephen a very long time, and he's an incredible person. And but I got a ton of value out of this, just for even just looking at it from the perspective of leveling up your price range, not necessarily being in a luxury home market. There's not much that's very luxurious about where I live, but I got a ton of value out of this. So thank you guys all. It was very, very, very worth my time to sit in on the call.
Amen. Amen. All right. Any other ahas or shouts out? Teal.
Yeah, I think a couple huge takeaways for me. Ivan, I'm excited about your book. Branding is one of the areas that I'm like, girl, we got to clean this up. So it's kind of one of my goals this year is to really level up with my branding. So totally ordering that book. Alex, one of the things that you said that really stuck out is knowing the historical facts about the area. And one of the things about my community is that I was born here. My grandparents homesteaded here. I've been here a long time. And that really encouraged me to use that to my advantage, like really hone in on my homesteader info, like Devin said, I mean, it's Alaska, it's a different kind of luxury for sure. But this little mountain valley has some history, and I can use that as a tool for my clients.
Well, I'm glad you said that about branding, because Ivan, I think one of the things, especially that I've seen that you've done really well, is you have nailed such an interesting sweet spot of being very, very you and having an incredible brand, right? It's just been very interesting how you can sit down at the piano and do something or just have a real conversation. And also you have this incredibly luxury, on a mountain kind of gorgeous brand at the same time. So follow great people like that to, because you've been able to match that in a really, really authentic way. You've been able to put your name up in lights and kiss babies, which is a pretty interesting little mix. So
yeah, what's about being authentic to what you like? That's I got Dolly Parton's house. I have it listed now, and the reason they chose me was she doesn't like social media very much, but they went through my social media and they stopped at one of my videos where I was singing, and she said, "This is our guy," and it has nothing to do with real estate. I was just singing, and she said, "This is our guy." So it's combining what you do and who you are and blending that together, which has been key. And I put the link to the Amazon if you guys want to pre-order. I won't.
Amen. Yes.
Yeah, it's in the chat.
Amen. Yes. Hey, we're big. Hey, you only get what you pitch for, and we are big on getting really comfortable with asking and doing that. I agree. So if you wouldn't have put it in there, I would have been a little ticked off because I would have had to go find it on my own to put it in there. So awesome. All right. Any other words of wisdom, my friends, before we transition to the tribe call? Okay, awesome. Feel free to stay on here, my friends. I love you all. Thank you for doing this. It was very special for me to get to hang out with you guys. So I will, hopefully some of you I will see. We're working on a 30 under 30 event, by the way, here in Dallas. We threw out a couple dates yesterday in our call. So hopefully we'll be able to let you know in the next week where we're going to have that. So Sarah and I are working on locations and days. So it would be awesome to actually see you and come in and have our 30 under 30 retreat. So we're working on making that happen. So anyway, there we go. All right. Okay, tribe, thank you for being here, my friends. Give me one or two more ahas you got from our luxury call. And then I want to give you some great updates on some things that have happened in the last week. We'll transition into keeping your head in the right place. So what are a couple of ahas you got from that conversation? Mike.
Two things. One, I took a lot of it from my commercial business. It's very similar. And it's really great. And I also realized, and they all